He's gonna take.
Yes, if you want to take it outside, it should be there. That's your little bit. I was so- Where did he say?
That sounds good.
It's up and running again, guys.
Up and running.
All right, I'll reconvene this meeting. Sandoval.
Thank you, Mr. Coupon. So, going back to the, previous discussion, the MOU between, Coastal Bay College and Keithville ISD is, ready to be executed, with your approval, tonight, so that they go ahead and start staging the facility and get it ready for next year in 2025.
Dr. Sandoval, this, when you say secure, that part of the building is not gonna be used by anybody once that equipment gets in there?
That is correct, Mr. Meadows. We are, I'm gonna be giving them access to the building and be able to secure the building so that they can secure all the equipment and modules and everything that they're getting for the program and keep them under lock and key.
Perfect, thank you, sir.
Dr. Sandoval, what are your concerns? Do you have any concerns at all?
There's only one concern that I've got, and because of the fact that students, this program will also be available to students that are coming out from the community that may be overage, is making sure we just keep them separated from our kids. That's the only concern that I've got, and definitely our procedures are gonna have to accommodate that to make sure that those students that are coming in to work the program are not interacting with our students that are just HMK high school students.
Would we be providing security if needed, or will the college do that?
In terms of,
Just, you know, you have your, whoever the professor or the teacher is, because we're gonna have older kids there, bringing back.
right now, we're looking at about 20 students, Mr. Meadows, that are gonna be there basically the whole day.
Oh, they'll be
Hopefully,
during the day. you won't-
yeah, it'll be during the
Oh,
day.
okay, yeah.
So we definitely wanna make sure that there's a separation and a procedure and expectation for keeping our kids separate. They'll also be using that portable building that's right next to the ag class. So we'll have to probably put some gates so they can enter through the front and back. And not having to go through the front of the building and try to minimize I guess, traffic.
Yeah.
And the possible connection between them and other students.
I kept thinking 9 class, but it'll be an all.
It'll be during the day.
Right, thank you.
But because it's 20 students that they're going to be recruiting, 5 of those are guaranteed for KISD kids, so we're really trying to get our numbers, and they'll give you more of those 20 if we get more than 20 kids that are interested and ready for the program. One of the expectations for our kids that are gonna be taking the aviation program is that they're done with all high school credits, because this is gonna be an all-day program. So we definitely have to, for fast tracking them and to get them ready to be available to start taking the courses in the fall of 2020.
Exciting.
Dr. Sandoval, I've got some questions with the financial arrangements and that other, but we're not there. And we won't be there until next year. All we're doing right now is just the facility portion of it. My one suggestion would be for you in item number 6. Because this is effective from September 1st and it expires August 31st. Our classes are tending to start in July now. So I'd really like to look at this again prior to the beginning of school next year, in case we do have any specific concerns with the financial arrangements or security or the other type of deals. And so I don't think we need to adjust September, but just an agreement with them that we could look at this prior to August 31st, since our school year now starts so much earlier. I don't have any problems. I think that the investment by both them and us is pretty much agreed to and online. I think it's something we really want to do, but because of the security and some of the other issues, I'd just like to look at that a little more closely before we get into the specifics of it next year.
Yeah, Dr. Sandoval, and just, I mean, I know this is like, Mr. Kufal said down the road, but has there been any thought or any decision? What if they don't get the FAA certification? Because I know it would be pointless to be teaching, you know, aviation maintenance if they're not FAA certified, because they won't hire them anywhere. Is there an agreement that that's going to be a requirement in order to have that particular program on
They don't,
campus?
my understanding, Mr. Reese, is that they don't get the approval from the FAA, they're not gonna be able to do the program, so I. Because they won't be accredited and they need to have that application approved. So, I don't foresee it happening if it gets to come. But they do have, instructors and individuals that know this program. So they believe that those that are writing the program are gonna get it approved by the FAA.
Thank you.
So they need to get FAA approved first before they join the program?
In order to be able to launch the program, get it started, yes, they're gonna need to get that final application approved. And they're, my understanding, they're gonna submit the application at late this fall and hopefully get it approved by spring.
What happens, Dr. Salvador? So we're here because we want our kids to join in, right?
Right.
What happens if none of KISD kids are eligible?
That's not a goal that we have.
No, I know it's not a goal. I know it's not a goal.
That's not an NCT director.
No, sir, yeah, I understand, I know that's not a goal, but what if?
If we don't have any kids in the program's still gonna be housed there at H and King. With other students from the community still have the option to come in and take the program. We're basically,
At the expense of the district?
correct, that is part of the MOU
All right.
and it's being available to them. Those big college.
And students have to be 18. To enter.
We have a lot of 18-year-olds.
18-year-old, I think Dr. Perez should be able to get the certification. Once they finish that first year, is my understanding,
So they could be 17,
taking the course.
taking the courses.
It's 18 once they.
Their current credits are covered.
Well, they have to.
They have to be, because it's a whole day class,
Correct,
right? So
yes,
not only they're 17, but they've gotta also make sure their credits.
yes, to ensure that they're able to take all the courses that are being offered to.
That's key.
Like we want to look outside our kids.
Kids that have all their credits and are just gonna
It's
write it for 1 year.
it's being offered to us, Ms. Salinas, all 20 students, but it's gonna be difficult to get that many kids. It's a reality, but we're shooting for 5. We want 5 of our kids to at least get into the program, and every year we're adding 5 more, and eventually it's a 2-year program, I believe. And at some point, hopefully have 10 kids in the program that are constantly going through.
But in reality, we got at least 5 kids that you can.
I've got, I think, 3 kids right now because it's something that started, it's something that we're getting built, we're having to build it and build interest in it. And because the kids can't actually see or feel it or touch it, it's a little difficult to build and get them excited about it. But we do have some interest that is generated there in the high school.
Concerns me is that these students have to be either 17 or 18. And this is gonna be a whole day class, they're gonna be there all day long. Do we really have kids in that position right now? I just feel like, do we have kids that?
Well, I think
After school?
the 3, I know they've been seriously. looking at 3. And we're gonna have to plant the seed. Hopefully they'll see some success and then other kids are gonna say, wait a minute, this is an opportunity I can do, I can get a job at the base, I can. It's gonna have to, it's an investment starting somewhere with this program. I know. Another larger district just got an aviation mechanics program too, so there's a demand out there. And some of our kids that they don't wanna go to college, they wanna do something different. This is another option, but we're gonna have to monitor it and see, is it gonna be cost effective? Is there gonna be enough interest in it? Just like any other program to see, do we wanna continue it or not? Hopefully it'll be something that
I
they.
just feel it's gonna be hard to find kids because usually their senior year, they're still doing this.
And to go back to your question, Ms. Salinas, the 3 that I'm referencing are kids that are potential candidates for the program next year in 2025. We do have other interesting kids that are freshmen and sophomores that would be the class of 2026 or 2027, potentially going to the program. So there's other interest, but the question that I answered was specific to potential seniors next year.
Because to me, it would be like, okay, it'd be good to introduce it to our freshmen, because like that, they can push it and try to get ahead so that they can have a whole year open to be able to take that course. But if they're advancing, most kids that are advanced are going to college. I don't know, I just feel like it's a good opportunity, I don't know if we would have the numbers. I mean,
But then would the idea be like, it would be a feeder for KISD students maybe that are 18 that say graduate or they complete the graduation program and then automatically, I mean, they would be eligible, correct?
Correct,
Because
because it will be open to the public, Mr. Reese. So it doesn't mean that it's just kids that are currently seniors taking the course.
Yeah.
It could be a kid who just graduated high school that may be interested in taking that now. So it could still be eligible for any kid that's part of the CASD program that might fill one of those 5 seats or maybe more. So we feel very optimistic about it, the kids that have generated interest. We believe once the equipment and we start bringing the modules in so the kids can see it, we can do tours, we're definitely gonna generate more interest, but right now it's all theory right now, because we don't have anything. No equipment, no tools, no planes, no wings out there, but once we get that out there, we're definitely gonna generate more interest.
And that's not costing us, that's Coastal Bend paying for that, our workforce.
Be very innovative to have that program, especially in kind of the base right next door. We're excited about the opportunity to serve our kids.
Dr. Sandoval, what happens after they finish the 2-year course? They gotta get certified through FFA. They can't come out completing the course and then automatically apply for a job, is that correct?
I believe they're able to, once they get their certification, they can apply for jobs.
Their FAA certification, correct?
I don't know the specific FAA, but they're certified to be able to go work as aircraft mechanics.
It's FAA certification that they need to test before anybody at the base, anybody CCAT is gonna hire. Just FYI.
But Workforce Solutions is supposed to be helping them get a job after that. That's the whole
That-
idea,
And,
right?
and it really shouldn't be Workforce Solutions, it should be Coastal Bend College.
Right, but.
Delmar,
They're partnering with
Workforce Solutions.
Delmar has their program, reason why I'm saying this, my son's in. Okay, so I know exactly that they're not gonna hire him after he completes the class.
Right, yes.
Okay, it's gotta pass the FAA certification. So, and those, Delmar is the one that's placing these people in the job workforce. Is the professor or the teacher the instructor gonna be housed there?
Yes,
They do.
Is it gonna be a KIC?
that's EBC, please.
I have one last question. And you may not know the answer to this, but I'd say, for example, an alum, a Graham graduate who's 19 or 18. You gonna count those in the numbers of our goal of 5 or 10?
Like recent graduates?
Yes.
Recent
I mean,
graduates.
good,
we
because
counted as one of our 5.
Some, but yes.
Well,
That's something to
The
consider. I don't know.
the 5 that we're given, they're giving us the opportunity to have 5 seats locked in for Kennedy students. And really, those are being factored in the kids that are current seniors, because they're gonna give us a discounted rate. And so we'll be able to cover the tuition just like we pay tuition to CBC students, which is at a discounted rate, which is like $125 per class. So we'll be able to pay their tuition at a very, very reasonable price. Students after that, they'll give us seats for KIC students, but it's gonna be at the regular rate for any CBC students. So in your scenario that you're asking, sir, I'm assuming that it would be the regular pay, like if I was signing up for a school at 10 or contract to move, that I would be charging and paying my tuition fee just like any other student. But that seat would be available to me as a CASD alum. And we definitely
Graduate.
as an alumni graduate, we could definitely have this conversation, but they are giving us the opportunity to have up to 20 seats. And that's how we understood the agreement that we had when we put this money together.
Any other questions? If not, you've heard the presentation, the recommendation that we approve the MOU between Coastal Bend College, CBC Aviation Mechanics, and Kingsville ISD for the 2024-2025 school year. Do I have a motion to approve?
You wanna change?
I think you can do that by conversation with them. on that expiration date, just that we'd like to revisit it before, July 31st just so that, because our school year will be starting then, the security issues and some of the other things will come into play, prior to the expiration of this existing contract. Is there a motion to approve? Motion made by Mr. Chapa. Seconded by Mr. Pettis.
Yeah.
Linda, I'm sorry. Second. All right, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. Item 7D, discussion and possible action regarding Coastal Bend College CBC dual enrollment memorandum of understanding for the 2024-2025 school year. This can be found on page 32 to 77 of our packet. Dr. Sandoval.
Thank you, Mr. Kufal. I stand before you today to bring the MOU between Coastal Bend College Dual Credit Program and Keeble ISD. This MOU is similar to the one we had last year. We have had our attorneys review it and make any revisions that are necessary to serve in the best interest of the district. Those revisions are included as part of this package that you received on the MOU. And we are asking that the board consider and approve this MOU for the 2024-2025 school year.
And this MOU, different from the next MOU, where this deals just with students.
Correct, this is the new credit program.
All right. Are there any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the MOU between Coastal Bend College and KISD concerning dual enrollment for the 2024-2025 school year? Motion made by Ms. Salinas. Seconded by Mr. Chapa. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. Item 7E, discussion and possible action regarding memorandum of understanding for education to employment partners for the 2024-2025 school year. This can be found on pages 78 to 81 of our packet. Dr. Sandoval.
Thank you, Mr. Kufal. Today I stand before you to present the MOU between KISD and Education to Employment. This is the third year that we will be working with Education to Employment there at the high school. The contract between the district, or the MOU between the district and Education to Employment, is consistent to what we had the last 2 years in terms of the expectation from Education to Employment, expectations of the district, and the total cost of the MOU. We continue to grow under the I guess advisement and support we've been receiving from Education to Employment in terms of the number of students that are applying to colleges, number of students that have completed their FAFSA, student the
TSIA support,
what's that?
TSIA.
The TSI support, they do the boot camps, college visits. We've been able to focus and be very strategic about the work we do to get our kids college ready and get those applications in a timely manner. Not that our counselors weren't efficient in doing so. We were able to get Education to Employment. They're able to really focus in it and give the attention that our seniors need for graduation, prior to graduation. We do have our representative here for our executive director from Education to Employment that is here, Ms. Ann Black. She's here to answer any questions that you might have regarding the program, the success, the implementation, and then what we plan to do for the 2024-25 school year as part of the MOU. I'll turn it over to Ms. Black at this time.
Hello. How are you? So, what questions can I answer for you, or do you want me to kind of cover what's covered on our end and your end? What would you prefer?
I'd like to see numbers.
You'd like to see
progress.
numbers,
Yes, I'd like to
wonderful.
see what kind of progress they made.
We're data driven, so we love numbers. So y'all are at almost a 99% FAFSA completion rate for the previous school year, so for class of 24. That's far above the state average. So that is a large number, it is a very significant number, and we're seeing that across the board with all of our ISDs that have advisors, post-secondary advisors in place. Part of that is because we have a high success rate of engaging parents in the process. So y'all have a really good number of one-on-one parent engagement meetings happening every year, and we know that when parents are involved in that process, students tend to do better.
Do you have numbers? I mean,
I
like where
do.
were we last year and
Sure.
where we at now and, you know, like.
Absolutely. So let me pull. Just a second, I'm so sorry. I shut this. There we go. So last year for student engagement, y'all were at 89%. I'm sorry, student engagement, you were at. So the one-on-one meetings, you're at 96.5%. So we know that that's high, and then we had 81% parent engagement. So we had 81% of the parents that had a student in the graduating class this year come in and have a one-on-one meeting to talk about a plan. That resulted in 100% of the students that graduated from KISD having a post-secondary plan when they graduated, be that college, career, or military readiness.
That was this.
Yes, ma'am.
What about the previous year?
The previous year, we were at 89% for meetings. I'm sorry. We were 86% for meetings. We were 81 this year. The standards changed over the past year for that because initially it was any sort of parent engagement. So it could be just a conversation with a parent. That metric changed this past year to actually be a targeted one-on-one sit-down meeting with the parent. So it did shift, but it's shifted in a really significant way because it allows for one-on-one contact with parents.
What about student engagement?
Student engagement, y'all had really good student engagement numbers. We had 96.5% in the class of 24 that were fully engaged. The prior year, you were at 100%. But with the FAFSA, you know, the changes that happened with the FAFSA application this year, we know that that shifted the numbers a bit. But we were really excited the way that the advisors handled that FAFSA process, especially with it coming out so late, coming out in January, and the kind of roll in that they did. And we're anticipating for this year that they're going to get that FAFSA out hopefully earlier, which will give us more time to get that going.
When do these engagements take place?
So these engagements can be scheduled over a couple of different things. We do have our advisors schedule FAFSA nights, so they will actually schedule events after hours or on weekends. Depends on what the preferences are of the specific school and the specific advisors. And they will actually invite parents to come in. Some parents come in one-on-one on their own, and they set up their own time to meet, and they come in and they meet.
I think some were done on Bright Fridays, weren't they?
Yes, yeah, quite a bit.
Now, does E2E Partners actually help with the FAFSA preparation, or do you all bring in your college partners to come in, the experts in the field per se, that actually work in financial aid to do those presentations?
So our advisors actually are all FAFSA certified, so they all have that training. They're actually all in Abilene right now getting more training for the school year on that. That's why I'm the only one here. They normally get all of that training, so they have all the skills to do that. Now, if we have a FAFSA night, they will bring in partners. They'll bring in Coastal Bend College, Del Mar College, Texas A&M Kingsville's people to make sure that they have enough bodies. They'll also bring in advisors from other high schools. So if Kingsville is having a night, for example, we may bring in advisors from the surrounding districts to help out that night, and then do the same when they have those events in Bishop or Alice, for example.
It's black, is it just black? I'm sorry.
It's black, yes.
Do we know black, I'm sorry,
It's okay.
do we have numbers of our kids that you all assisted with FAFSA that entered into some kind of
Post-secondary.
yeah, post-secondary?
So we have post-secondary planning at 100%. Now, whether or not they actually enter school when the college semester starts, that's something that we're starting to track. We have a retention program with Coastal Bend College and with Texas A&M Kingsville, where we actually have a retention coach that is on site on both of those campuses. And she works with our post-secondary advising students from Kingsville ISD and the other ISDs that are in the agreement. And she works with those students their whole first year to take any barriers under, to really help them get comfortable with the college experience, make sure that they're succeeding.
It's like,
This year, I believe they took 6 college trips this year. We're looking at doing more over the next year. We're actually looking at adding a UTRGV this year. We actually also added, and I wanted to point this out, a new software platform. It's called 220. We've been using it successfully in Corpus Christi with our students that are in our targeted internship and career training programs. And it's an online self-guided portal program that allows them to do essential skill training, what we call soft skill development and workforce training. So that is a program that all the students will have access to this year. The advisors will be the ones that will be working with them on that. But it's all self-governed. So for students that work or have family obligations, they can get all of that done on their own time. So it's really beneficial for all of our students.
Ms. Black, I had a question.
Yes,
Well, first of all, congratulations, this is a new position for you, right?
I've been the director of operations and programs, but I've been very behind the scenes. So you haven't seen me I've been there for about 3 years.
Okay, I remember your predecessor, what was his name?
Jeff West,
Jeff, I know he's here now, maybe in Kingsville.
he is, he's the chief workforce development officer out
So
here.
last year when Jeff was here, he talked about some monetary incentive if we had some students going to college. Can you talk about that? Because he was pushing it like if we were gonna really do well and hoping that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we actually just worked on that budget with Brunette Alliance. So your MOU with Education to Employment Partners is part of a larger partnership with the Brunette Alliance, which is a national nonprofit, and they are all about college attainment. So they provide roughly $30,000 to $35,000 a year in FAFSA incentives for students to complete their FAFSAs and kind of hit those milestones along the way. We found that the incentives are a really effective way across the board and making sure that the students are getting their FAFSA done and getting what they need to get done, hitting those milestones. So this agreement with y'all, we are looking at about 65% is roughly what KISD's portion is, the 75,000. There's another 35% that's being put in on the Brunette side. And they pay for the college trips, they pay for the incentives, they pay for a lot of the other pieces of this, so that all of those extra little bits and pieces that really incentivize students and allow us to do the college visits and all of the workforce training really are included in everything. Yes, so y'all do have 2 advisors. You have 1 advisor full-time, and you're also getting a 2nd advisor part-time. The advisor that you're getting this year is an experienced advisor. He's been with us 2 years. He's highly trained, he's really good. And we're excited to have him on board. So you'll have that great partnership. Plus, you'll have the retention coach that's working with Coastal College and A&M Kingsville. Her name is Sarah Lawrence. I'm sure some of y'all have seen her before around town. She works with all those students that are moving into that university and that college right after they graduate. And then you'll also have our staff, so our supervisory staff.
Who coordinates this on the tower? The district schools?
Yes.
I coordinate with the Education to Employment, and also collaborate with our counselors and any work that they're doing with Education to Employment. The advisor that is working with HM.
And prior to this,
It felt like
it all fell on the counselors, correct?
Correct. And I don't think Ms. Flack really emphasized the importance of that extra advisor that's provided. At no cost, our contract, our MOU, really pays for the 1 advisor, even that extra advisor for the half-time or part-time. Really helps serve the kids and the different capacities that they're having to do during their senior year. The FAFSA itself, and the fact that it got submitted, or I think it was open late January, early January.
They opened it January 1st, they closed it January 3rd, and they reopened it.
So it was definitely a difficult, and we were far exceeding the numbers from the previous year that we had in FAFSA completions. Our numbers were way ahead of the state. We got weekly reports. Our numbers were far exceeding the state numbers in terms of FAFSA completions. But again, I attribute that to the work that Education to Employment has done. They're on top of it. They're working with the students. They're constantly doing the best they can to get our kids ready and career college ready. So it's been a great partnership. The first 3 months that we did when we first joined the partnership, it was kind of a trial and error kind of thing. And then we got the last few years, we're really seeing an improvement and the burden they take off our counselors and now with 3 counselors going to the high school, definitely helps the work that's happening there at HMP.
I think that's a good support and helped us with the CCMR for this college, this class that just graduated.
Absolutely, and you were talking earlier about the TSI, and we are doing classes in partnership with Del Mar College. Those will be offered to all of the seniors. We're also going to be doing seminar classes with freshmen and sophomores with our advisor staff in partnership with Del Mar to get the students thinking about those tests early, so that they can hopefully get that done fairly early, get the parents familiar with it, all that good stuff.
And the Miss Lawrence, where is she housed at, like, where is she located? Is she at A&M Kingsville campus or?
She's at the A&M Kingsville campus 3 days a week, and she's at Coastal College 2 days a week. Yeah, and she kind of goes back and forth as needed. They pull her for events and they ask her to help out on things a lot. And so I run into her on campuses when I go to meetings all the time, so she can kind of tend to be wherever she's needed the most. And that's intrinsic in that position. That's part of a larger pilot program that's actually happening with Red Alliance across the board. They're actually getting ready to launch a similar group in Alaska, and they're going to have a retention coach as well. And the whole point of that is to just make that first year seamless. A lot of the requests and student support that she's providing, we found in this pilot year was really kind of social, economic, anecdotal support. We had one student that she said called her and asked how she could get a boyfriend. And how she could do better socially on campus. So it kind of runs the gamut. But the whole point of that program is to take students that have not had anyone in their family attend college and put them on the same level playing field as the students who have had historically family members attend college.
At the end of the year, it would be good to see from that retention advisor or retention coach, to see how many enrolled and how many stuck it out.
Absolutely. We're collecting those numbers right now. We're actually working on the data sharing right now with Coastal College and A&M Kingsville to get all of that done. We collected numbers for the first year, but we really need to see 2 years of that to really get a sense of how it's going. But it is part of a larger pilot program, so it's not just going to be the 2 universities here. It's also going to be several universities across the state that have had the same similar retention coach position. So we'll be able to look at empirical data.
Are there any further questions?
Thank you, Mr.
If not, you've heard the presentation and the administration's recommendation for approval of the memorandum of understanding for education to employment for the 2024-2025 school year. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Garcia,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Pettis. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. Item 7F, discussion and possible action regarding the school safety training class completion guardian plan. This can be found on page 82 to 83 of the packet. Dr. Seven.
Thank you, Mr. Kufa. Last month on the 29th and 30th of June, we did have a district employee that attended school safety training, otherwise known as a guardian plan. The purpose for that was to get another individual in the district trained to be a guardian to prevent any event or prevent any unneeded harm or death to anybody in our facilities in the event of an active shooter or active killer event. We are recommended, the Board of Trustees recommend the recommended trained individual to serve at the here in the district in the event that they're ever needed to protect, serve our staff and students.
Quick question. How are these individuals identified? In other words, do they volunteer that they want to be a guardian? Or is it administrators that are required, or is it just voluntary?
There are no specific individuals, but this one we felt would be a good fit to serve and protect the campus.
But if you were to say, I don't want to do that, then you'd be okay.
Yes, there, you can't expect the workforce to want to do.
It's completely voluntary.
All right, you've heard the recommendation. The request for approval, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion made by Mr. Luis, seconded by Mrs. Salinas. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. Item 7G, discussion and possible action regarding second reading of localized policy update 123. This can be found on page 84 to 101 of our packet.
Thank you, Mr. Kufal. I'm here to present board update 123, and I want to first and foremost thank Dr. Pitts for presenting the first update, back in June when I wasn't available.
You did an excellent job, John.
He was trying to replace me. You can take it either way you want. So second read of 123 is based exclusively on legislation from 88 regular legislative session, which included revisions to local policies based on legislative and regulatory changes. Changes to local policies have offered from consideration to address the following topics: board member training, orientation and ethics, safety program, risk management, security personnel, technology resources, employment practices, personal management relations, instructional arrangement, resources and materials, library materials, students' rights and responsibilities, and public complaints. So we've got a total of 13 updates that are local that we are considering today for as our second reading. First one being BBD local, HB 3033, authorize the Attorney General to require trustees to complete training on the Public Information Act if the Attorney General finds that there has been a violation of the Act. Language is recommended to make clear that this training after violation cannot be delegated to the different public information coordinator. BBFA local, language is recommended to clarify that a trustee's ethical duty to disclose a financial or other personal interest in board transactions goes beyond the statutory conflicts of interest set out in state and federal laws. CKC local, a new section on notice regarding violent activities recommended to comply with legal requirements. Administrative procedures must be created to align with TA model standards. CKED local, these provisions regarding individuals authorized to possess firearms for emergency responses have been relocated from CKC local to this code, which is CKED local. CQC local, this new local policy is recommended to meet the legal requirements for the board to adopt a policy for the effective integration of digital devices in the district. The policy language adopts the model health and safety guidelines developed by TA and the Health and Human Services Commission, and clarifies that the superintendent must develop regulations for implementation. DC local, these are revisions at termination during contract terms, which are recommended to specify that an employee must request a hearing before the board to appeal discharge during the contract period and to differentiate between termination during and at the end of contract terms. DGBA local, this extensive revision within the CK policy series necessitated an update to the cross-reference in the list of other compliant processes. Also, to accommodate planning and restructuring on the policy DIA, we have revised the references to the code in the policy to reflect the DIA series. No other changes have been made in this policy. EEH local, TA's revision to the student attendance accounting handbook prompted recommended updates to this policy. Students may now receive homebound services for psychological as well as medical conditions. The SA or the SAW also indicates that the weeks of confinement due to a medical or psychological condition do not need to be consecutive to qualify. The policy language has been updated to reflect the change before. EF local, as explained in EF legal, above this local policy addresses instructional resources is being deleted. New policies to address instructional materials and library materials separately are included in EPA or EFA and EFB. EFA local, the enclosed policy regarding instructional materials is recommended to coordinate with the policy addressing library materials at EFB local. The provisions previously held at EF local have been moved to this code with the following revisions. At selection, a clarification has been made to reflect the instructional materials must be chosen in accordance with state objectives and administrative regulations, and may include items from the State Board of Education list. And add reconsideration or instructional materials. The list of individuals who can submit a request for reconsideration has been revised. The changes recommended to align with the list provided in the new EFB local, which permits an employer parent or guardian to submit the request. Sorry. EFB local, this recommended policy aligns with changes to the administrative code and the declaration development standards for the school libraries as a result of HB 900. We'll review the following information in the policy, the location of the form of formal reconsideration, the position title of the person responsible for approving the reconsideration committee, and 3, the number of days allotted for appointing the committee, providing the material for review to the committee and completing the committee's final reports. FNG local, extensive reviews within the CKE policy series necessitated an update to the cross-reference in the list of other compliance processes. Also to accommodate planned restructuring of policy FFH. We have revised the references to the code of this policy to reflect the FFH series, no other changes are made in this policy. And last one, CF locals, extensive revision with the CKE policy series necessitated an update to the cross references in the list of other compliant processes, no other changes made in this policy. Do you have any questions regarding any of those 13 local policies that we looked at?
Yes. But it's easy. And it doesn't apply necessarily to any of the specific policies, but I'm going to read language from CQC local. It says Health and Human Services Commission and clarifies that the superintendent must develop regulations for implementation. I know when these updates come out, TASB does a very good job of basically writing the policy for us to keep it in line with what it needs to be. Do they also provide this regulation that the superintendent's supposed to develop?
No, they don't, but when we need clarification on any regulations, we typically reach out to our TASB advisors and ask for any samples of that, or we also reach out to our attorneys. We provide support of them.
That's the only question I have. Any other questions? If not, you've heard the presentation regarding the second reading of localized policy update 123 as recommended by TASB. Is there a motion to approve? Motion made by Ms. Salinas.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Chapa. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. Item 7H, discussion and possible action regarding the second reading of board policy DEC local compensation and benefits, leaves and absences. This can be found on page 102 to 113 of our packet. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Kupal. The changes to DEC local, there are 2 you see on the first page. Just change of terminology assigned work calendar, and also this has been our practice, but legal absent, we spell out that that leaves and absences are reported in 15-minute increments. That is done through our time clock system. The exception being when a substitute is required, because we cannot get a substitute for an hour. We are have substitutes that are available for half day or full day. And then if you look at the last page, page 6, this is something that was recommended by legal that again, in I believe it's 2019, the board approved that the rate established by the board at the time was daily rate. We've gotten questions on that. What is the rate approved by the board? So we decided to actually put it in our DEC local. The administrative regulation that does not go to the board for approval, but we, in conjunction with legal, we fleshed out all of our policies based on the questions that were asked to us about the new calendar last year. Sandy and I went to all the campuses yesterday and we talked to all the employees and we presented this to them. They had very few questions because last year at the second part of the year, we had already gone and kind of spelled it out to them, so it was much clearer to them this year. They understood exactly how everything was calculated, and we had very few questions when we went to the campus this year. I'll take any questions that you have.
I appreciate y'all going to the schools again and explaining this to them, and it seems like you said, very few questions, that means they got most of it. And just needed clarification on that, I'm sure. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So what did we end up with? We kept it the same, we just.
It's the same, we just fleshed it out before there wasn't as much language with the new innovative calendar. Now there is that specifically corresponds to that. Basically, before last year, every day was 8 hours. So it was very easy when an employee was gone, 8 hours of leave was docked. But then we moved last year to some days were 5 hours, some days were 8.5 hours. And just like all maintenance staff and custodians in the summer, they were 10-hour days. We didn't have questions from them because that's how we've always operated in the summer. If you still work 40 hours in a week, but if you're absent on a Monday, a 10-hour day, you're docked 10 hours. So then by the end of the week, Monday through Thursday, if you miss the whole week, you're still docked 40 hours because you had 40 hours a week. You're not docked 8 hours because it was more than an 8-hour workday. So it was a shift in mindset because the people at the campuses, they had never really had work days that were different lengths, so they weren't fully grasping how leave was being deducted. So we made sure we went the second half of last year, and we made sure we went this year, and they understand.
And this went through people.
Yes, it was actually, we worked with one of their legal specialties. I think it was Leslie.
Yes, Leslie Alvarez,
Actually, it was the other Leslie.
McCollum.
Yes.
Oh, she's wonderful, yes. Board certified.
All right, any further questions?
Just one quick question, Dr. Pitts. Yes, sir. In our security team, how did this affect them? As far as coming in, leaving early, while kids were, I know there were some concerns out there.
There is, and we spoke to one of the security staff yesterday. So before the kids come back, we are gonna adjust it to make sure that they are there. Because you're right, like the big calendar is developed by Dr. Sandoval and the DIC, but then we have to go in with every single employee and try to get which hours are gonna be best to serve the needs of the kids, the teachers, and the needs of the district. And that one required a little bit of tweaking, so by next week, when the kids come, they will be able to be there before the kids get there and after the kids.
Thank you, Dr. Pitts.
All right, if there's no further questions, you've heard the recommendation and for approval of the second reading of board policy DEC local, compensation and benefits, leaves and absences. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Garcia. Seconded by Ms. Salinas. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. We move now to items 7I, discussion, possible action regarding the notice of public hearing date, time to discuss the 2024-2025 proposed budget, proposed tax rate. It's going to be found on page 114 of our packet. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Goodall. As you're aware, there is a very tight timeline in August with the budget, and there's other things that are outside our control. Next week, I am hoping that by the end of the week, we will have the numbers from the appraisal district, and then I'll be able to either that Friday or that Monday, when we come back the following week, to meet with the tax assessor and get our tax rate pinned down. The budget is getting close to completion, and I will present that to you at our workshop on August the 16th. That'll be our last big budget workshop of the year. But then after that, then I have to post it in the paper, and they require it the Friday before, and I have to post the actual tax rate in there that we're gonna propose, then it has to be posted for 10 to 30 days after that, so, the date we're proposing is August the 27th. It is a Tuesday for the public hearing. We have to approve that as a line item at a board meeting, so that is what we are proposing right now.
All right, you've heard the presentation. Is there a motion to approve the public hearing date and time for the proposed budget, proposed tax rate to be August the 27th, 2024 at 5:00 p.m. Motion. Motion made by Mr. Chapa,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Ruiz. Mr. Pettis. Any further discussion?
Jake's taking.
If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. Item 7J, discussion and possible action regarding purchases over $50,000. It's going to be found on page 115 to 116 of our packet. Dr. Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Kufal. We have two. IXL is a math program that we are going to use. It also includes training as well. We're going to use it for the students that need extra intervention, and it will meet the requirements of, is it 1416? Okay. Of House Bill 1462 with our students. I'll take, and then the other one is Salt Creek Technologies. It is for security cameras. You see the funding sources, the SAFE grant in general. The SAFE grant will cover all the security cameras that are at entrances, but it won't cover at non-entrances or at interior facilities. That is why part of this will be from the SAFE grant and the rest will come from the general fund.
I have a question, Mr. Dr. Pettis. Is IXL replacing anything that you have currently?
Instructional team, do you have an answer, Phil?
Yes, it's currently replacing CERN and, I believe it's iReady. It's also replacing iReady.
Yeah, that's like a supplemental program.
It is a required program that is,
Dr. Marcellus, go ahead and come up to the microphone.
it is a program that has been approved by TEA that we can utilize for our HB 1416 students as an intervention, and it is for reading and math at the proposal as well.
It's not a curriculum, it's not a shared wells, not like that. This is
Correct.
supplemental to.
Correct, it is supplemental and it is an online program that students can access. It is, they can do both. They can use it during accelerated instruction, they can use it before school, after school. This program, because it is TA approved, we can also have a bigger group of students that we can work with versus the 1-to-4 ratio. So it does gives us a little bit more flexibility. Oh, well, we are going to strongly recommend that they do it because the intervention is necessary and it is mandatory that kind of that we offer. It is a requirement that they have to fulfill those hours that they are assigned by the state.
So it's more of a computer lab driven, that's where you can address more students in a computer lab rather than the 1-to-4 ratio.
It can be, yes, sir, it can be in small group, but instead of 1-to-4, it could be anywhere from 1-to-6. So you have a little bit more flexibility, especially like on our Blue Rainbow Fridays, when you have a group of maybe 10. And so you have 10 that are on the computer, you can pull 5 towards with you, and then you can do a big group discussion. It just depends.
And we can receive data on this, are we able, are the teachers able to get data on this, see progress?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll be able to see data. We'll be able to use it for reports as well.
And also, would that be presented to the board? And you know, we can't show names, I understand, but can we show growth or lack of, like a 36 week?
I don't see reason why we won't be able to. I'm sure we can. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we're gonna monitor that these students fulfill those hours, and how many hours are they required or recommended to fulfill?
Well, it depends, if they've not passed, two subjects, in two consecutive years, then they're required to fulfill 30 hours per subject, especially reading and math. If they score or did not meet it high, then it's 15 hours, not 2 consecutive years. So it just depends, there's criteria that they fall under. And so,
And this year, we're not, at the high school, we're not allowing kids to have so many free periods. You know, we're requiring them, if they have not passed their STAR tests, there is no reason they should have a free period, so it's not gonna be allowed.
And then thank you for asking the questions. So the monitoring component is also built into the timeline. So we have to keep a close monitor on the students that are required to earn their hours, and so we're monitoring those along with their campus principals and along with our CNI team. So have to be very diligent to make sure that the students are.
Thank you, Dr. Besser. Dr. Pitts, is that price comparable to last year's, or is it cheaper, is it more expensive? What we're replacing?
I,
where do we
know that, yeah.
It's less.
it's less
It's
than
less
last
than
year.
I wish you had the sheet that showed, remember how much we cut
Mhm.
on those,
I don't have it with me.
you do have to.
No, ma'am. We can send it
You
to
can send
you.
it to you, I can email it to you.
Approximately, how many cameras does that represent? The 98.
Dr. Sandoval, do you have an answer there?
All right, any other questions?
I have one on, since we're talking about cameras, on the one,
46 cameras.
okay,
Thank you.
but on the, for example, the ones that we installed in restrooms as far as bathing is concerned, are those 100% going?
I believe they are.
Yes.
They're outside the restrooms.
Outside
Outside
the
the
restroom.
restrooms, so we don't have any.
Let me.
No, I'm talking about the sensor, not.
Yeah, the base sensors are in the back.
Oh, the sensors, not the cameras.
And yes, we're constantly, anytime we do have a VX sensor down, we do, call in the contractors to repair those. And they're actively working and they're picking up,
The problem with cameras and domes, yes, okay, thank you.
All right, you've heard the presentation of the purchases over 50,000. Is there a motion to approve these purchases?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Ruiz,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Morales. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. Item number 8, the board will now enter into closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.071 and 551.074 to deliberate and consider the following. A, consider employment of contracted personnel, assistant principal, H.M. King High School, and assistant principal, Gillette Middle School. B, consider and deliberate with legal counsel regarding pending litigation and personnel matters. No action will be taken until we return to open session. We are entering closed session at 6:55 p.m. We now return to open session and take necessary action on matters which the board may discuss in open session and upon which action may be taken. We are returning to open session at 7:47 PM. Item A, discussion and possible action regarding employment of contracted personnel. Dr. Pettis.
Administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the following contracted employees presented in closed session for H.M. King High School.
All right, you've heard the recommendations. There a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Garcia. Seconded by Ms. Salinas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. Item B, discussion and possible action regarding pending litigation. Board, I move that we join the pending litigation as discussed in closed session as a participant. Is there a second?
Second.
Garcia, or first.
As a participant, it'd be even more than support.
Is our name gonna be there?
No, we will not be the lead.
Will not be the lead.
Or will be in there?
Yes. Well, depending, they may go with a coalition or something that doesn't list, but I think it will be known for there. All right, any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Any opposition? Motion carries 7-0. There being no further action, I'm declaring this meeting adjourned at 7:48 PM.
Not to forget, tomorrow we have the back to school bash, all right, at Gillette. So it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the bash, Thursday's the convocation.
Because I want to read all the lines.